and thanks for joining us at Universal Heritage Television Naija. We are bringing you again our breakfast show, Daybreak Naija. We are continuing conversations today on the fallout of the just concluded presidential and National Assembly elections. I have two gentlemen to discuss the issues, a lawyer and a member of the watchdog of the society. On my immediate left is George Onyejowa, state correspondent of the Sun newspaper. George, you are welcome.
Thank you for having me in the studio.
Next to him is Barrister Mike Oti. Barrister Mike Oti, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me once again.
Now, my name is Afam Echi. Please remember to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube platform. I start with you, George. Before the election commenced, we got a threatening comment from an Oba in Lagos against Ndibo. During the election, the Igbos were attacked in areas suspected to be the stronghold of Peter Obi. After the elections, they were also attacked for not voting for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who eventually was declared the winner of the election. And we're going to have another election by Saturday, 11th. Already information has filtered that the threat is still ongoing to the fact that if they don't vote Sanwo-Olu, the Lagos State governor, returning him, then there will be issues for them. Some of them that bought land, they will be made to pay for the lands 2 times or more, and things like that. These are unconfirmed reports anyway. Now, I want to ask you, how do you reconcile this with the stability of democracy in relation to the unity of this country, and specifically the Yoruba-Igbo relationship?
Thank you very much. I think, thank you for bringing me to the studio here. I think the issue of threats to Ndibo in Lagos, for me, it's neither here nor there. As Ndibo, having been born in Lagos and my people still live in Lagos, I tell people, regardless of election, any Igbo man who is attacked should defend himself as a Nigerian. That is one. In the issue of the election, of course, we know the population of Ndibo in Lagos. Outside the indigenous Yoruba people, Igbos are the largest. And nobody should be intimidated. They should go and vote. Come out. And besides, P2B is not a candidate of Ndibo. That is one. P2B was brought out by Nigerian youths who are still aggrieved that the country has collapsed. And so the next election, the Saturday election that is coming, Ndibo and the other Nigerians who are in Lagos should go and vote for a candidate they think can do better, can improve their lives. That's my advice.
Okay, Barrister, he said Ndibo can fight back. If they accuse them, they should push back. What is your opinion about this continued attack on Igbos in Lagos? Remember, if you take your mind back, there have been so many of such actions. They have suffered a lot of attack in the Yoruba, which they have helped to develop. And I think I remember one incident when a governor, towards close to the election or so, moved some and dumped them at the bridgehead, a Naija bridge, things like that. So, do you think Igbos should fight back?
Of course, every human being has a right to defend himself or herself when attacked, particularly physically. The right to self-defense is a right cognizable in law. So if somebody attacks you, you have a right to repel his attack by defending yourself. In any case, I do not think it is proper for elections to bring about, tribal war or conflict between Igbos and Yorubas. Nigerians should freely make their choice in elections, and that is what democracy is all about. Every individual, both Yoruba, Igbo, has a right to express his desire of a choice candidate. So it's not something that a human being or a citizen of Nigeria, should be intimidated into making a choice against his will. So I enjoin all Igbos resident in Lagos, as well as other non-Yoruba ethnic residents in Lagos, to go about their election choices on March 11 without any fear of intimidation.
Okay, let me stay with you still, Baristoti. Before the election, specifically on the 11th of November, the Inec Director on Voters Education issued a release denying an allegation that there was an attempt by Inec to abandon transmission of results electronically. They even cited the efforts they made and where the use of IREV worked in Osun State, in Ekiti State, and perhaps other places. Now, it eventually played out that what was rumored to be an allegation played out, and INEC eventually abandoned the use of the portal in transmitting results. Some persons have different opinions. Some have viewed it as maybe the INEC chairman actually intended to conduct election free and fairly, like he promised, but that he was under pressure to do otherwise. Some other persons are also thinking that was a decoy to take away the attention of Nigerians from what the INEC had planned to do. Now we are going for the next round of the election this weekend, and INEC has assured us again that the IREF portal is now working. And some of the issues that occurred in the 25th February election has been remedied. Now, where do you stand? Do you think the INEC chairman was under pressure, or that was actually a decoy?
Well, for me, if you ask for my view on that issue, I would say there was a deliberate sabotage of the electoral process. Well, the people who said it may be a decoy may be correct. Those who said, well, the man wanted to actually conduct free, fair, and credible election, but was intimidated, may also be correct. Only INEC chairman himself can tell what happened, because I personally listened to him in one of his press briefings on this IREV. Let me tell you that that particular guideline was what engaged the confidence of the masses on INEC as it relates to that election. After they talked about the viewing portal of the results, which is IREV, Nigerians now said, okay, if that would work, then it would certainly reduce manipulation of results drastically. And so it engendered the confidence of the masses. So I was surprised, I was shocked, to say the least, on that election day, that even from my polling unit where I voted, we insisted that the presiding officer should make efforts to upload the results after the announcement, after the counting and announcement of results at the polling unit. But he told us that they didn't have any such briefing, that no password was even given to them to upload the results. So if you look at it critically, you will understand that INEC, for me, deliberately intended to do mischief in that presidential election. And if there is no other meaning that could be read into it other than intention of fraud, because if fraud was not intended, there was no reason INEC should have abandoned that lofty and noble guideline, which to a very large extent should have reduced manipulation of results.
Okay. George, do you have any opinion on what?
Well, I want to agree with my learned friend here. You see, there was never an intention by INEC to conduct free and fair election. That is it. Because, like he said, I did monitor some polling unit that day. Some of the officials came, Inec officials came, without even they said they don't have codes, and even SIM cards to upload results. So it wasn't as if Inec was under pressure. The chairman wasn't under pressure. It was a pre-planned event. That's what it is, total collusion. Do you know that up to now, this moment, the result has still been uploaded, the presidential election, which the Inec chairman has declared the winner. The result, they are still uploaded. So it wasn't as if the man was under pressure. It was a collusion with the ruling party. And unfortunately, Buhari'S, all the Buhari'S talk about leaving a legacy of free and fair election has come to nothing. Because if the elections were free, was done according to what Inec has been telling us, they are going to do this, the beavers and the IRF and all that, which brought a lot of people out to vote. First time, a lot of people are voting for the first time. That has in itself eroded the confidence of, I don't even know whether people will see they're going to be a party in the forthcoming election, this governorship, because people are already disappointed that all their effort has come to naught. That's my take on that.
Yeah, you made an interesting comment, which I'll take to you, Mike. You said as a result of what played out in the last election, that there is going to be apathy. Do you agree with him, based on the fact that some other persons, drawing from reports, like you said, the youth, clearly brought out Obi and they stood behind him? Are you thinking that the youth will pull back this time around, when so many of them are promising that this is the time to pay back the governors that have not behaved well? Do you agree with him that there's going to be voter apathy in this coming election?
The truth is that there is no way you will expect the large turnout that was experienced on the day of the presidential election to be repeated on March 11th. It is simply not possible. Because presidential election, this year's presidential election was one that was so hyped, and particularly the involvement of a third force brought out many people from their shells. You see, I was at Court of Appeal Port Harcourt. I spoke with one woman within that week who told me that she was going to leave Port Harcourt on Thursday to Mbise. That's where she registered. And she disclosed to me that that was the first time she was going to vote. I mean, that last election. So you can now see somebody brought out himself, just came down from Port Harcourt, a civil servant, came down from Port Harcourt just to vote in a presidential election, spending 3,000 and upwards as transport. Then to and fro, if you put it together, it will be 7,000 and upwards. So if you look at the interest in that presidential election, and you juxtapose it to the disappointment gotten from Inec, I think you cannot record that level of turnout again, because there are people who were disappointed may not come out. But the truth is that there are also people who are determined to pay back the state governors who, we are seen committing one electoral malfeasance or the other on the election day. So they think, some people in that category think that the payback time should be March 11th. So it is a mispack. You cannot, it is, some who were disappointed will not come out. But those who felt also aggrieved by the conduct of some of these governors will be pulled out to see what the damage they could do to the interests of those governors. If you look at Rivers State, you will agree with me that they are having some realignment. To the extent, yes, even to the extent that some Labour Party faithfuls are now adopting the APC candidate just because they want to get back at the governor governor's candidate, which is the PDP candidate. So you can now see that such people are coming out to emphatically express their grievance against the people that sabotaged them on the election, on the presidential election.
Let me add, that is assuming that Inec can conduct election. Because what happened here last time, the presidential election, if Inec is not telling us that the system collapse that affected the presidential election is now up, that's when this issue of payback time can work.
Okay.
Because if you remember, our own governor here, they were moving without more tank. Writing results. Even though we are not going to have a governorship election in Imo State. The other place, look at that of Rivers, the one of the officials, the town official, is still saying that today is in the papers that Islam is not a threat by the state government. So assuming that INEC will do the right thing.
The returning officer?
Yes.
Yes, one of the
returning officers.
No, his accusation, I think, is against Labour Party, not the governor. He's the person that colluded with the governor, that the Labour Party members are accusing him of declaring results.
The first one was that the governor, because that was last year. They said the guy stopped, if you remember, he stopped the announcement of results. That his life is not threatened by the government. I should go right there.
One professor
yes,
said,
I forgot his name.
The state returning officer, the presidential, he said that he is receiving threats to his life and that they should go and do the right thing before he can continue. He stopped the election abruptly.
Yes, I know when he halted it. I know when he halted it. And he said he was not going to continue. Then the commissioner of police assured him that he will give him security while on the way at his residence and all that and all that. But the truth is that his halting didn't amount to anything, because at the end of the day, he completed the exercise.
Yeah, and the result did not produce what the people want.
Yes, that result that was declared is a complete negation of how the people expressed their choices on that particular election day.
George, let me ask, one of the reasons for the cashless policy is to be able to check politicians over vote buying. Looking at what happened, do you think that objective was achieved, and to what extent was it achieved? You know, removing money from the hands of politicians so that it will reduce electoral malfeasance.
The policy didn't work.
It did not work.
Did not work. Only the poor people who suffered, because here in the States, they were sending dollars. They're giving dollars. The officials and the officials, both the what do you call them? We are giving $100. $100. We are giving them $100.
So you are saying you want to check them with naira?
The money is in dollars.
To use
even the way I went to somewhere in the Kedra, I don't want to mention, they gave dollars to they gave them dollars for the job. So the issue of the cashless policy, if it was meant to achieve, maybe it was meant to curtail vote buying, it didn't work. It didn't work. They were transferring money. They were making transfers. Those who didn't transfer, they gave dollars, physical dollars. Here in the municipal, it was the chairman of the donor opposition, but was sharing money. It was dollars. It was naira. You can easily go to the house and change it. So I didn't work. If that was the, but I think what CBN had intended to do, what they said earlier, was that so much of the money in circulation is in people's homes. Through that they can control the inflation and things like that. But if it was purposely meant to curtail vote buying, honestly, it did not work, because they shared dollars. I saw that myself. Even though I didn't get anywhere, they didn't give me.
Did you ask?
I don't have to ask. So the issue of it was even better. $100 is 76 or 700,000. So they shared dollars. Who saw it?
So,
including the police who are collecting the money.
Mike, are you not disturbed that Nigerian politicians are very, very ingenious in devising means of sabotaging? And these are the people who rule us, and then come and pontificate that of morals and how we should live our lives.
The truth is that I didn't witness the sharing of money from where I voted. So I was already thinking that policy reduced money vote buying on that election day to a large extent. That at least it reduced it, because people went about voting candidates of their choices. The only aspect that somewhat bungled the election was the sabotage on the part of Inec, and then the activities of some of these political leaders, by way of state governors, some of them that turned themselves to electoral bandits on that election day. Do you understand? It is the activities of those persons, including INEC, not implementing the IREV. We should have at least given a measure of transparency to the exercise. So I think those are the aspects that bungled that election. But on the issue of vote buying, it was reduced. Because even the dollars is talking about, even if you are sharing dollars, I don't know how many people you will give $100.
Let me tell you that the people, the obedient, the shaman,
the obedient,
the PDP and the APC.
PDP and APC.
Yes, they were sharing. They were sharing. Even my community, in fact, they shared the money a day, Fridays.
Okay.
On Saturday, for those of us who were moving around the town, because it was dollars the governor gave. Not people don't have money to give anybody. The PDP and the APC were sharing money.
I heard of an incident at the Man Street Primary School where a party chairman, was sharing dollars, and before the EFCC.
He escaped.
Yes. I saw the video too.
He escaped.
Yes, I saw the video. We
were somewhere around that area.
Though what I didn't know was whether the money was for individual voters or their party faithfuls, because I know that a day prior to the election, they usually give money to every electoral ward. The party hierarchy will share money for the execution of the exercise. That money is meant for even the agents, party agents at various polling units and all that. And so I don't know the money that he was sharing. But I saw the video and also confirmed it when I watched Channels Television, which carried the report that the EFCC claimed that an attack, after they gave the people chase, an attack was meted out to them or something.
Yeah, so if it was genuinely money for the use of the party, they shouldn't have been running away.
No, even if it's for the party, it's still economic sabotage. EFCC has the mandate to stop it. So even if it is sharing money to the party, the executives, do you understand? EFCC is still.
It shouldn't be at the polling booth.
It is still an economic crime, which would engage EFCC to do their work, because it's part of their mandate, economic and financial.
Yeah, Mike, you raised an important point, and I remember it took my mind back. You know what the governors did this time around? Is kind of a replay of what Okorocha was alleged to have done during his senatorial election, where the returning officer claimed he was under gunpoint, he was held hostage, and he could not do anything, and under duress he had to sign the result. It was contested, and eventually Okorocha is today a senator, and nothing came out of that matter. I think it's a very dangerous thing for our democracy, because right now, even in the last election, I got a report that in some collation centers at the local government level, these military operatives, security operatives, barged in and under gunpoint, forced people to accept money. Some were given 50,000, some 100,000, and then they were given a result to admit instead of uploading the actual result. Now, similar thing played out in Rivers State, where Governor Wike was alleged to, and I think there were video evidences. His security operatives were moving around even though he denied it. Now,
do you expect him to admit it?
That's another issue. Now, this election now is very, very critical to them. What do you think needs to be done to stop this thing? Because the situation where you get to people under gunpoint, I mean, that is too bad, very, very terrible. But is there any way we can escape it? You, the lawyer. How?
Yes, the only way to escape that kind of malaise is when all the institutions that have a role to play in an election, do you understand, come out and do their work with integrity. If you look at Nigerian police force, it is their duty to provide security to the ad hoc workers and every person deployed by Inec for purposes of election on election day. But what do you see? You see compromise on the part of Nigerian police. I remember watching one video where the notorious MC Olomo was threatening that in this polling unit, if you say you be and they burn you well, come vote. Make I see you. I dare here. If you watch that video, there's a policeman was just standing right behind him. The video captured the policeman standing right behind him. So that is the kind of society we live in, where institutions that are supposed to protect citizens are the ones colluding with criminals, you know, to commit these crimes. Then again, if you look at also the people deployed for Inec work, remember there was a day I met with one professor here on this particular student. I told him that I accused him directly that the people sabotaging our election are professors, are people who say they are learned, that they're educated, who are in our ivory towers, that the ones doing damage to our electoral system. Because you see a professor properly called, he will be invited over by a politician, knowing that the purpose for which you are invited to the residence of that politician is to offer bribe. Right. So why would you go to compromise the system? Then if you compromise the election, you pretend as if you did nothing, and you want the buck to be passed to another person. Let me tell you, why we got it right in Lagos State, even though it is still stated that the number of votes credited to Obi, you understand, was far less than what he earned. That he earned over 900,000 votes, yes. But 580 something was credited to him. If you look at the woman who was the returning officer, the collation officer for Lagos State, if you watched very well, I don't know whether the little I watched about the collation proceedings of Lagos State, that woman, I can vouch for the integrity of that woman, because for her alone to be in Lagos, where the Jagaban has himself, the territory of the Jagaban himself, and she was not bulldozed into compromising the election, I think we give her kudos. But look at the one that was the collection officer for River State, that of Imo State. The fact that worst is even Imo State. One CV who says she's the returning officer for Imo State or collection officer. Yes, you can see that the correcting these anomalies, we start from the kind of people INEC deploys. Do you understand? The type of people. It is high time INEC interrogated the characters they deploy to manage our elections on election day. If you want to get it right, you should start from there. INEC should get the right people. Let me tell you, it took Mike Igini to stop Akpabio, Gospel Akpabio, who was a minister, from going to Senate until Mike Igini left Akwa Ibom State. Akpabio could not go to Senate simply because of Mike Igini. And if you look at the integrity of Mike Igini, you can vow for him. He was a student union activist, in fact, SUG president, from his university days at University of Benin. Thereafter, he entered the civil society activism. And he did credibly well before he was invited over to serve as INEC resident electoral commissioner. When he was posted to all the states he served, election was gotten right in all the states. So you can now see that it is from the deployment, the people you deploy, from INEC to manage the elections. Then the security agencies, if we get it right in the police, get it right in INEC, the type of characters they deploy, then I think we'll get our these challenges of election. We would have gotten it 70%.
Yeah, a disturbing thing there, George. Something he has said that we need to get the institutions right, working. Now, but over time, these issues have continued to happen. You know, this is not the first time, whether the professors and in fact, what is very, very much more disturbing is that those who are used as tools to sabotage the election, you know,
At the receiving end.
Yeah, people at the receiving end.
They are the receiving end.
When you call them security, you see the police
They
on
are.
the streets.
They are.
You see the youth corper. Okay, you see the professor who is complaining of not receiving salaries and who is
They shouldn't even be paid.
That will even go on strike again.
That will go on strike again.
For non-implementation of what they agreed with the federal government.
See, it is the same the oppressed that is allowing themselves to be used by the oppressors. So what Barrister is saying, for me, it's a long time. I don't know. It may take time to
address,
to realize. Yes, I think it has to do with the individuals. What do we need to do now in the immediate? I mean, concerning this election of Saturday coming, what do you think in the immediate we need to do to address this issue of governors without having that? Because you cannot rule out, and you know, with the intimidate people with the security agents, the parade, and the people yield, they succumb. So to avoid that happening, what do you think we need to do in the immediate?
Let me say something first. That is very, very germane here. You see, the issue, we have this mentality of there's hunger in the land. Hunger in the land, everyone's hungry. As if you get that money today, tomorrow you die. And let me also say this emphatically, we can't do anything about that. Because the same governors, those who are fighting for second tenure, will be more vicious. Even look at those who are leaving. We can go. Look at how vicious they are. Look at how vicious they are. Talk about those someone who's going for second tenure. No. And let me say this. The INEC has been a problem. Like my learned friend said here, if the INEC, like Gilly has been a shining light for INEC, why? Because of his personal principle. It's not a professor issue of being a professor, it's a personal principle. A man who is convinced, who does things as a result of personal conviction, not because of money. As long as I told you, it's just like somebody who has gone to the university for 24 years, you have not graduated. The situation you have with INEC. Something is wrong. Now, the issue of this has to do with mental poverty or mental enslavement. Because I told somebody, when you see, look at what has just happened. When you see this, you say, they're in school, they're getting man go work. Yes. After working, what else? Like Saturday, see what is going to happen by Saturday. In Saturday, I don't see anything different. Assuming we are going to have election in this state. In fact, it will be difficult for people to walk around. I'm telling you a fact. By the number of police, and of course, Nigerians, nobody wants to die. That's the truth. Even my mother told me during the election, it's not better you stay around. I said, how would I stay in the village now? How I want to report to my office that what is happening? They keep calling me for the whole, because so the issue is that one is INEC. Look, for instance, of this issue of IRF. Do you know that if after accreditation, like they told us, and the result has been uploaded, nobody will force you there, because already but the delay, it is deliberate. It is why if that result has been uploaded, nobody's going, if you are holding me for ransom, you are holding for nothing. But the result is already there. But INEC has refused to do the right thing, no code, nothing. So that is why someone can hold you on ransom. So for you to announce a result or sign, that is the problem. If Nigerians can really, take the bull by the horn, resistance. Of course, how we are not Europeans who may resist. Some places, what has happened now would bring people on the streets. Everyone is looking. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So it is a difficult task for people. That's a reality. People will come. Well, governor, like, imagine when governors don't contest an election. I know what happened in Okigwe. Someone was declared winner, didn't win any booth. What they returned?
But the truth is that some of those declarations will crumple at the election tribunal.
It will not crumple. That is even no problem.
No, it will.
My little brother, who is here, my friend, if you know that, I want to say this, but let me say it. The problem of Nigerian democracy is Inec and the judiciary. That's the truth. Someone said, go to court.
But you have also gotten some.
Go to court.
You have gotten some justices from at least the.
Only very few.
The cause.
Only very few.
The P2B you are hailing today. His election was rigged.
Yes.
In broad daylight. It was the court that returned him.
Yes.
At the level of Supreme Court.
Yes.
You do understand?
That is when they will say.
So the truth is that much as judiciary, do you understand? They are culpable. I admit it because I am there. I know that a number of our judges, do you understand, the activities raises there are also judges in our judiciary, do you understand, who are incorruptible. I can tell you that. The only thing you will tell me is that the Nigerian factor is still playing out there. Because if you go there now, let me tell you how these things works. Because some of you may not know how it works. The CJN will be the person who will raise the panel that will, preside over this OB case. So in raising that panel, the CJN, if he has interest, he will exclude all the people that he knows have sterling integrity. The judges with sterling integrity, he will exclude them from that panel so that they will not do damage if they find anything wrong. Are you following? That is how it is. So it is not so in the guise of that you give a blanket.
We are saying the same thing. When the CGN, just like what happened in the case we have in Imo State, the CGN remove, like you are man of, we know that you can give judgment, not just you give justice, not judgment, and exclude these people. People don't know who excluded who ordinary Nigeria. What is that? The judicial? Well, the CGN is the first judicial. So, but I just pray that.
But at that level, you know what the kind of things that happen.
No, but I don't know if the Bible say the time.
It is the president that will now call him one-on-one. And some of those, like I know that, you see, when the death of Imo State happened, they just removed Onogen, who they knew. Because even Onogen that was removed had at some point in Buhari'S checkered history of election, giving a judgment in dissent in favor of Buhari.
Yes, dissent, yes.
So they knew that if he finds, assuming he's the chairman of that panel, if he finds anything wrong, he will declare it. Do you understand? So they skillfully removed him. They skimmed him out, forced him out of service. In order to, and brought in their own choice. Then when they brought in their own choice, they gave him briefing on what to do for them. And it played out. So it's the Nigerian factor that is the problem.
That's why we are going to...
but on individual judges, there are many good judges in the judiciary that I can vouch for.
Yeah. Overall, the people are not comfortable with the judiciary anymore.
Certainly, I agree. I agree.
Before we round off this program, let us touch on an issue that affects all Nigerians, and that is the issue of Naira swap, currency swap. Now, the Supreme Court gave a ruling last week, Thursday or Friday, to the effect that declaring again that the 500 and 1,000 bills are still legal tender. There is so much confusion out there in the society. People are not collecting the money, while a few are also doing so. But the majority of the people doing transactions, they have refused to collect the old notes. Now, I want to find out from you, Barrister Oti. People are talking about also the federal government, that is Buhari, not respecting the ruling of the Supreme Court. A lot of opinions, divergent opinions on this issue. Why do you think the central bank has remained adamant? And there's no statement that has come from the central bank since after that ruling. So which suggests that indirectly, impliedly, they are still sticking to their original policy of refusing the 500 and 1,000 naira bill, and respecting the policies of the instruction Buhari gave that 200 naira should be admitted as a legal tender. So why do you think there is such a disparity in observing Supreme Court ruling?
Well, I think it goes to the character of the president we have. The man has a snag in his integrity of not obeying laws and court orders. Do you understand? In recent times, particularly. If you look at that judgment that was delivered, that judgment, many things, the Supreme Court had cause, do you understand, to make pronouncement on many issues. Socioeconomic hardship of the people. Do you understand? I think the judgment was even premised on the current socioeconomic hardship which the people, the masses are going through. Yes, because if you read that, if you look at that judgment, you will see where the Justice Agim, who delivered that judgment, said that in this modern age, that the masses have been compelled to now adopt trade by barter, simply because they cannot access currency which ordinary they should have. Do you understand? And that is correct, because if the justices of the Supreme Court are also members of this society, they use the money we use. Do you understand? So they go through the things we go through. They are mortals like us who are also going through all this, even though they are privileged citizens. Do you understand? Who may have bank managers bring this news to their houses, but it does not mean they are not aware.
It's not affecting.
Yes, it's not affecting their relatives. Yes, their relatives.
Yeah.
So it is clearly a character abnormality on the part of the president, because I do not see any reason why they should not obey that order. It's simple.
Now let me ask you. You see, this matter originated between states and the federal government.
Yes.
Now, central bank was not involved in the action. Could that possibly be the reason why they are not obeying the court? I mean the central bank itself, because since they are not party to the matter.
You see, we get these things wrong. The central bank is an appendage of the presidency.
It's part of
he takes directive from the president. Even though, if you read the CBN Act, if you go to section 20 and other 20, if you go through that CBN Act, you will find out that act gives central bank independence, autonomy.
Yeah, now
but that autonomy,
if it gives it independence, that autonomy, should it also now be subject to the ruling from the district? Because if it is about the economic policies of the country, which that ruling from the Supreme Court may be affecting, then is it right?
No, but there is also a place in the CBN Act, yes. In fairness to CBN, yes. There is also a place in the Act that gives discretion to the president with respect to this currency redesign. Do you understand? Don't forget that immediately Buhari made pronouncement of 200 being in circulation, it is now everywhere. Yeah. Do you understand? So it takes the pronouncement of the president to get these things, to give effect to the order made by the Supreme Court. So once the president comes out and probably gives another broadcast, says, now that the Supreme Court, as the highest court in the land, do you understand, has ruled that both 1,000 naira, 500 naira, 200 naira denominations should return to circulation until December 31st, 2023. We hereby urge the central bank to immediately inject all the old notes into the society for circulation. Immediately to take effect. But we have a president who will take 1 week to analyze the judgment and probably meet with the CBN board and take a position before coming to address the citizens. And that is what has informed the vote revolution that recently happened, which unfortunately Inec truncated. Do you understand? Because you see, Nigerians are tired of having somebody who is very, very passive in implementations, in churning out policies, in making appointments, in correcting anomalies in the system under his watch. They wanted to correct it with this last election on Saturday. Unfortunately, Inec bungled that opportunity the masses had. Do you understand? Now let us hope that judiciary will address that issue. But I still maintain that it is the character of the president that is causing this present hardship. The court has given the judgment. Let the president come and say, now we are obeying this court order, because the federal government was a party in that suit. Original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court can be activated in any state at all. In only one state. Filing a suit against a federal government will activate the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Do you understand? But in this case, it's even about 16 states that came together and filed the suit against him. He was made a respondent in that suit. I think they started about it's originating someone's they wanted interpretation. Yes, the Attorney General representing the federal government. The Attorney General was included as a party, which is the chief law officer of the country. Do you understand? So, by implication, the federal government has that order against him, and the federal government is the boss of the CBN. Do you understand? And so, therefore, should come out and say, this order given by Supreme Court against us should be obeyed. We are a law-abiding government. We therefore advise that central bank injects these old currencies to go into circulation so that the masses, this hardship can stop. That's what I expect the president to do.
You have an opinion on this?
Let me just want to add to what. Assuming the old notes are still in the central bank, because Atlantic has been burnt. The 1,500 naira notes.
Okay, the one they
so because, and like you said, he's a lawyer. I think I believe the whole thing on the Attorney General. That's why if you get Attorney General, get someone who is sound. Buhari couldn't be violating court orders, though from the time APC got into this government got into power, they have been lawless. They don't obey. They only choose the ones they want to obey. That is a favor. So don't blame Buhari. When the Attorney General is there, Attorney General is the one who should tell him. Attorney General, if you're not Attorney General to somebody, if you're as a chief law officer, you tell by see this is the implication. This is the implication why this should be so. That's it. I'm telling you. That's what I want to say.
Okay, gentlemen, this is where we call it a day. Thank you for coming to the program, Barrister Mike.
Thank you. It's my pleasure once again to be here. And thank you, the viewing public, for listening.
George.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. I hope one of these days will invite us back.
Yes, be prepared to come back very shortly. We'll continue discussion on some other issues. Viewers, this is the end of the program. We thank you for being part of it all. Please continue to stay with Universal Heritage Television Naija for another interesting package. My name is Afam Echi. Remember to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube platform. Thank you so much.